I find myself standing at a crossroads, so to speak. A kind of fork in the road. Two possible futures that we are potentially facing. And these two possible future scenarios that I will go through in this video are the ones that I have noticed being signposted the most. It seems to me that, on the one hand, we can see a technocratic future, supposedly up ahead, coming into view, with its digital ID, which will be linked to a digital currency, with a social credit score. But on the other hand, we have a future that is a little more difficult to evidence, and at first glance seems preposterous. But there is evidence of it, shall we say, unfolding under the surface, but there nonetheless. It's an interesting juncture anyway. Which future do you think is more likely? And it seems to me that these two possible futures are incompatible. It would be difficult to arrive at this future if this one happens. So we have on one hand a signalling toward a dystopian future. Biometrics and high surveillance, a sort of digital prison, if you will. And this is a totally open conspiracy. You need only spend a few minutes online to discover that this open conspiracy is out there. Many of you will have visited the World Economic Forum website, and you can see there how this future is all mapped out for you. Big movers and shakers within institutional areas of society are telling you what's coming, heralding the way, announcing to the people of the world what their future entails. And many years ago, this sort of thinking was called crazy conspiracy theorizing. If you'd have said 30 years ago that 30 years into the future, you would be stopped and questioned for covering your own face in a facial recognition zone, many, if not most, people would have said, no way. That's never going to happen in a free, democratic society. But here it is. And factored into this technocratic future is the augmented human, the superhuman. The promise of biological enhancement also awaits us, we are told. Perhaps this promise will seal the deal for many to accept this future seemingly ahead of us. And the question of AI government, an ominous prospect indeed. It wouldn't quite be like this. Unlikely that your government would consist of an army of dark-suited android politicians, but it's a fitting image. So we have on one hand a signalling toward a dystopian future, but on the other hand, and that other possible potential future scenario involves a seemingly divinely inspired fulfillment of religious prophecy. As unlikely as that might sound, regulars to this channel will have seen how the Star of Jacob prophecy was fulfilled with a newly discovered comet that was seen on the date prophesied for the Star of Jacob's appearance. We saw how on that very date, as well as the appearance of a prophesied star, another part of the prophecy was fulfilled. The part involving 3 buildings and the deletion of a leader. This correlated with this figure being deleted, and his deletion also involved 3 buildings, as prophesied. We also have a world leader being touted as a messianic figure. He's been compared to this figure, who scripturally played the role of liberator and enabler of the rebuilding of a religious temple. Whatever you may think about religious prophecy, it is uncanny. And then there is the red heifer controversy. Red heifers are required for the rebuilding of this building. We also have evangelical Christians in the White House who believe in these scriptures and believe that all these things need to happen before their own Messiah arrives. These are the sort of people that voted and believe that these prophecies need to happen and that their fulfillment is divinely inspired. So on the one hand, we have a potential future of mass technocratic surveillance, a cashless control grid, social credit score, AI governance, biological human enhancement. Your freedoms and rights become privileges. But on the other hand, the other future looks very different. If these prophecies are indeed coming true, then what will we do if more come true? Headlines regarding a certain event in 2023 detail how that event could signal the unfoldment of a certain battle. We were told that this event happened at the right time of year to fit this prophecy, and we see the two countries often associated with this battle being vilified and accused over and over again.
Therefore, Persia or Iran attacking Israel is predicted in the Bible, and guess what? That just happened.
As Israel and Iran exchanged hostilities in the Middle East, U.S. Christian evangelicals began interpreting the escalation within the framework of an Abrahamic end times prophecy.
For decades, I've been warning the world against Iran's nuclear program.
It's been very clear, as expressed by the Iranian government, that Israel is the appetizer and we're the entree.
This is Pastor John Hagee, an influential pro-Israel lobbyist in the U.S., describing Russia, Iran, and several Muslim countries as part of a biblical Gog and Magog army that has waged war on Israel.
The Gog-Magog army is Russia, Iran, and several others that are going to join in the attack of Israel.
Well, welcome to a very special 700 Club. Are we seeing biblical prophecy unfold before our very eyes? Today, I'll bring you a special teaching on what the Bible says about Russia's role in the last days and how it relates to this recent attack on Ukraine.
Hamas invaded Israel and did all that brutality on October 7th. October 7th is Putin's birthday.
Iran now seeks to weaponize its nuclear program.
But they've also gone beyond saying they want to annihilate Israel and wipe it off the face of the earth. They've said that their ultimate goal is to first take care of the little Satan, they identify as Israel, and then come after the great Satan. Senator, that's us.
So let's take a look again at what the Bible says. Now, all the troops there are going to be coming against Israel in the latter days. And God says, I am going to take care of it. But why is Putin insane?
Which of these two possible futures seems most viable? The one being heralded openly? The kind announced by a German Bond villainesque globalist and the richest man in the world, with his warnings about the dangers of AI, but hey, let's just do it anyway? Or do we see the one written about in ancient scriptures, seemingly unfolding before our eyes? Whatever you may think about this future, it is at least a future, albeit a dystopian one. This future seems a little less viable. It would seem like a fruitless task to spend all this time and effort and energy and money erecting what one could refer to as a digital prison, only to have it completely obliterated by an end times conflagration. And because this sort of future is a dystopian sort of future, how difficult is it going to be to get the entire Western world to accept digital ID and facial recognition and a social credit score? Is the expectation really that we will all just accept this future without any pushback? If this one indeed does come to pass, it would certainly solve the problem of mass surveillance in one fell swoop. And in this potential future, there may be plenty of opportunities to wait it out. Which future do you think is more likely? Are both these futures on the table, so to speak? Could they be seen as options in a plan A, plan B sort of way? Are either of these futures simply distractions, limited hangouts for us to anticipate, while the other future is really being strived toward? Or is the future, the true future, a combination of the two? Let me know what you think. What other possible futures may await us?
For the first time in all of human history, almost all of mankind is politically awake. their capacity to impose control over the politically awakened masses of the world is at a historical low. It was easier to control 1 million people, literally. It was easier to control 1 million people than physically to kill 1 million people. Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.